Hello everyone, it's Mustafa from Universal Everything and welcome to this workshop video for the Luxo Grants program. The second wave of the Luxo Grants is all about hacking the grid. But what is the grid? Think of the grid as a way to make your on-chain profile come alive. With the grid, your universal profile transforms into more than a profile. You get this dynamic living space that breathes with all your latest activities, along with your assets. Your profile visitors are not just seeing a bunch of links to your content. They can actually interact with it right there. On-chain or off-chain. For individuals or brands. If you're an artist, visitors could play your latest tracks or view your work from your socials without leaving your profile. If you run a business, customers could interact with your smart contracts or browse your other services directly on your profile. And the cool part is, all the things you have on your grid is actually attached to your profile on chain. This is all possible with the features of LSPs and Universal Profile. Under the hood, Universal Profile uses the LSP0, a smart account standard of Luxo. It eliminates the managing private keys, paying gas, or verifying opaque transactions before confirming them. For example, to store all of your profile information on chain, such as your username, profile image, or your bio, we are using a standard called LSP3, the Profile Metadata Standard. One of our latest release is LSP26, the follower system, and this activated the social era of universal profiles. Okay, if you want to learn more about LSPs and universal profiles, please visit our documentation page. Let's get back to building on grid. If your mini app has no blockchain interaction, as long as your page can be placed in an iframe, you have no limit. That's the only grid requirement on Universal Everything. However, if your project is on-chain, you will need some extra parameters. So, introducing the UP Provider, our new package that makes it easier for you to build mini apps and have them integrated with Universal Everything. With UP Provider, these mini apps are able to gather more about the grid context. And in the end, we have these mini apps that lives on a user profile that can be interacted with. Along with the UP provider, we also have this mini app example repository that you can use it as a template. So you can start off with built-in integrated features such as profile search with using the indexer or Luxo branded ready-to-be-used web components. Let's have a look at our guides for both building and testing a mini app for the grid. We will use UP Provider for one-click connect on Universal Everything, as well as the context addresses, which is the grid owner's profile. We are using the React template of Vite. The exact version is version 6.0.5. We will be installing local tunnel for testing purposes, so let's install that as well. npm install Luxo at UP Provider and local tunnel. If you see both UP Provider and local tunnel packages have been added to your dependency list, we can now navigate over to code implementation. So, starting our implementation, first we create our provider instance for our component. Then we can add the state variables to be utilized in our mini app. These state variables are accounts, which in our case is the universal profile of the visitor, context accounts, which is in our case the grid owner, and the wallet connected, which is a boolean indicating if a user is connected to the mini app. Next up, we have the event listeners. First, we set up the event listeners for our mini app. And for this mini app, we have two event listeners. One for accounts changed, which is triggered when the connected accounts change. And the second one is context accounts changed, which is the grid owner's account. And that is the universal profile on Universal Everything where the mini app is hosted under. In return, we clean our event listeners. So our component initially gets the values from the provider. Per event, we are able to update our mini app state. I will show my terminal just in a second, but this mini app is currently running on port 3000 as can be seen. But we cannot use this localhost URL on Universal Everything. It has to be hosted on somewhere else. That's why we have installed the local tunnel. We are getting the port we are using for localhost, and we are using this lt-port 3000 command for generating a URL for our mini app. So your setup should look something like this. On the left terminal, our mini app is running on the port 3000, and on the right terminal, our local tunnel exposes that port to an URL. In the end, we can use this generated URL for adding our mini app to our grid, which looks something like this. Alright, that's it for this video. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or having any issues while building mini apps. Until then, see you next time.